guys are really awesome. Thank you so much for your business. Thank you so much.
Man, I was hearing that Malibu was known for shopping, and they're having some extreme sales and discounts that are going on right now. And hey, even if you get caught, a woke DA put in by a billionaire that we can't even mention here on this platform will just probably let you walk. That's the sale of a century. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org. Man, look at that security guard on his cell phone. The perfect representation of the craziness unfolding in our world right now, which is only going to get a lot more crazier. Lots of important news to get into today, as even Starbucks is becoming unwoke. This as there's a major event that unfolded recently in Greenwood Park, Indiana, that should be a national news story, but sadly is being significantly undercovered when it comes to dealing with the insanity of this world in the backdrop of more crazy information that we're getting from Texas. Yeah, just when you thought you couldn't believe this story, you can't believe it even more. This, as there's some more financial ramifications coming our way. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more. There's so much news. We're just going to jump right into it. As of course, the video that you just saw in the beginning of this broadcast was recently filmed in Malibu, California, where masked criminals got off stealing over $500,000 worth of designer watches and handbags in a matter of seconds. Scenes like this are becoming normalized, especially under the policies of the California Governor Gavin Newsom, who's now also trying to run as president of the United States. This, as I think it's fair to say, that a lot of lawlessness is gripping our nation with the support of some really crazy people, just like in Minneapolis, where now this video is going viral of a woman who was under attack screaming at BLM protesters who were trying to defend a man that almost took her life. Obviously, this situation was a very crazy one that we have to remember was brought upon us by a lot of multinational corporations, a lot of the establishment, a lot of the government cheering on the causes of BLM. One of these special interests was, of course, also Starbucks, that cheered on and supported Black Lives Matter, even instituted some crazy policies in response to it, and now the Starbucks CEO is blaming Democratic-run cities for its stores being closed because of the lawlessness within them. This as Starbucks just closed 16 locations for the safety of their employees because criminals were using their facilities for, of course, dangerous, nefarious activities that were condoned by the city and many times left unpunished. This as the CEO announced that because of the lawlessness, he's, quote, going to have to close many more locations, and now it looks like Starbucks is complaining about policies that they called for that they're now dealing with the repercussions of. And with mainly all of this craziness happening in democratic cities where people can't defend themselves and criminals run loose, we just had a very important lesson that I think the world needs to know about, since it happens a lot, that just unfolded in Greenwood Park Mall, Indiana, where there was another lunatic, another crazy person who we won't be naming, we won't be showing you the pictures of, because when the media does, it spurs on copycat lunatics to do the same, and we believe in actually being responsible with our coverage here. And this lunatic showed up at the mall carrying a rifle, multiple magazines, and opened fire on a crowded mall. This was clearly an extremely dangerous, destructive human being that was on a rampage trying to hurt as many people as he could. At the start of this incident, 3 people were taken out. 2 of them were injured, but severe loss of life was prevented because of a 22-year-old legally armed citizen that was concealed carrying that came out and took out this monster. Yes, the local news is covering this. A good Samaritan is now being praised in Indiana, a man that does deserve full recognition, especially at such a young age, jumping in, acting. A young man who probably was trained and was a responsible firearm owner that, according to the police from their own press conference, was a citizen that was lawfully carrying a firearm and, quote, was able to stop this shooter almost as soon as he began, leaving a lot of people asking the question, how many people would have lost their lives if that mall was a gun-free zone? And I think that's a very important question here. And I think this Good Samaritan, this 22-year-old man who was at the right place at the right time, made the right actions, the right moves, and saved lives, definitely deserves at least an award here, deserves to be praised, recognized, and a modern example of someone who is responsible, someone who is trained, someone who takes their rights very seriously, as well with the responsibility of defending themselves and their community. This man is an absolute hero, and even though the corporate media is hyper-focused on a lot of negative, demonic, bad news, I think it's worth noting that still, this event is horrible, but was prevented because people had the right to defend themselves and their communities. And if more people had these rights, I think it's fair to say that there would be a lot less of these lunatics out there who particularly target gun-free zones in order to, of course, create as many victims as they can. What happened in Indiana deserves to be recognized, as, of course, this is not the first time a Good Samaritan jumped in and saved many lives, just, of course, like our Johnny Hurley, prominent member of We Are Change Colorado, who also is a hero, who also jumped in and stopped a lunatic who was on a rampage trying to hurt as many police officers as he could. Johnny stopped him. The police officer showed up, and bewilderingly, I still don't have a real explanation to why they did this, but they took out Johnny. And this is not the first time that authorities have failed us, as of course all you have to look at is what happened a few weeks ago in Uvalde, Texas, where the police officers there literally aided and abetted the criminal action that took place in that school as they used their resources to stop law-abiding citizens, parents, loved ones, and even other fellow police officers were stopped, disarmed, for trying to stop the horrible actions that were happening in a school when a lunatic was let loose and essentially protected by the police. This, as today we're finding out that 376 law enforcement officers showed up to that particular school, as of course the police officers waited outside, waited inside of that hallway, and didn't act until the lunatic was able to do whatever he wanted to do. This, as today we're finding out that the acting police chief in that town is put on leave after authorities are finding, quote, multiple systemic failures, poor leadership, as of course there are still extreme amounts of unanswered questions about what actually happened on that particular day. The police officers contradicted their statements many times. They have lied through their teeth, and the general public still does not know the truth about this horrendous, horrible event where the police officers literally created situations that led to more loss of life. What in the world are the police officers doing here? We still don't know. Their story still doesn't add up. And yet this is the event that many politicians want to use to disarm you and take away your ability to defend yourself. As of course, bad people will always find a way to have weapons. Taking away weapons from good people will do nothing except create more victims and more people to be victims. Of course, I have a lot more to say about this particular topic that I'm going to be saving for later on today. Right after this video, there's going to be a brand new spanking video on LukeUncensored.com, our own platform where we get to say and do whatever we want. We also found out about Dr. Fauci's retirement today. A lot of people are cheering that on, of course. And if you remember, you're going to be hearing about that and a lot of other information that, of course, we cannot get into on this particular broadcast. Lots of craziness to talk about. We're all going to be talking about it right after this video. Click on the link in the description below so you can continue the conversation. Also, as a member, we have a forum that's up and running. We have merchandise that's only available for members, like the shirt that I'm wearing right now that says Ungovernable, that you could get at a very significant discount. For the normies, the Kyles and Karens who are not members yet, we have another version of this t-shirt with the words just written this way at a higher cost. If you're a member, you save a lot of money on merchandise, you save a lot of money on future events, meetups. You get a lot of amazing things when you log in as a member, as we strive to put in all of our blood, sweat, and tears into making this the best members area on the internet. And there's a video there almost for you that's new almost every single day. Check out the one right after this one by going to LukeUncensored.com right after this video. As of course, we're not done yet. There's still so much craziness to talk about. As of course in yesterday's video, we talked about how the world's problems are only going to become bigger and more significant, especially with the latest geopolitical news of Biden failing to get more oil produced by Saudi Arabia. The Biden administration, of course, lied, said that they were able to achieve a deal when they weren't. The corporate media, of course, isn't talking about the larger significant ramifications and the larger Ponzi scheme being run against the American people that's being deemed the Build Back Better Great Reset. This, as I think, the hypocrisy, the collusion between the corporate media and this administration is definitely felt within the Washington Post, that is literally asking you to cut Biden some slack, while, of course, they criticize the previous president of the United States for, quote, coddling dictators, when specifically they met with leadership within the Middle East. These articles by the same author, Max Booth, that of course doesn't see his hypocrisy here, as of course he is cheerleading for this administration and is willing to do anything for a single dollar, and is some of the worst nefarious, dastardly characters in all of Washington, D.C. This, as of course, as we told you, oil prices were going to rise. They just risen. This, as Saudi Arabia is not going to be increasing their output. And there's a lot of memes of Biden literally passing a gas jug, asking Saudi Arabia to do this. Saudi Arabia, again, big geopolitical pushback against this Biden administration. This, as today, we're also finding out, according to Reuters, Saudi Arabia is now buying cheap Russian oil, bypassing American sanctions, and then reselling cheap Russian oil to the West at a premium. Yes, you heard this correctly. This is reporting from Reuters that is talking about Saudi Arabia and Russia subverting the sanctions, subverting the economic warfare that's being launched by the United States against Russia, and literally having the United States purchase Russian energy. This, as domestically, this administration has been literally selling off domestic strategic oil reserves to China, to specific companies that Hunter Biden had business dealings with. And why are we doing this while at the same time begging Saudi Arabia to produce more oil? Why are we selling our oil? Well, of course, as we detailed to you, this is all a part of a plot, of a plan that's, quote, building back better, transitioning America and a lot of other Western countries to what only could be described as the internal destruction of them. Already, energy prices, government intervention in the markets have destroyed any kind of upward economic mobility for the majority of individuals in this world. There's already supply shortages, the disruption of the global trade. Bars in Germany are literally using a barter system, trading beer for sunflower oil, which is absolutely horrible for you, so they could keep, quote, frying their schnitzel, according to Reuters. In the United States, there's talks about a fried chicken shortage, as of course inflation is reaching all level highs and will be a lot higher as the future for the West looks not so bright. As of course, we're also finding out that major gas is being limited to Germany, a country that is reimposing restrictions and lockdowns, which of course obliterated the economy. It looks like they're not done, as of course they have plans for you to eat bugs or nothing and be happier than ever. Plans that are absolutely ridiculous, plans that we call out and will continue to call out here as long as we still have a voice, and we do with your membership on LukeandSensor.com, with you purchasing the t-shirts, with you just being here watching these videos all the way up until the end. It means the world to me, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys doing that. If you disagree with me, if you thought I got something wrong, hey, no one's perfect. I might have, but if you could let me know, I would deeply appreciate it. I love conversations that make me think, that genuinely allow me to see a different perspective from issues and aspects that I wouldn't normally see, and that's only possible with communicating with you guys and being open to constructive criticism, which I am. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. One more video coming your way on LukeandSensor.com, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for a lot more here on WeAreChange.org.